Welcome everybody. You got insights, and you have for the second week. You got me, you got Mickey and Earl, and there's my brother Earl Hankerson there. He want to give y'all a shout out, I'm sure.
Oh yes, absolutely. What's going on, everybody out there? What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You know, one of the things we typically have done is been able to not really get into politics too much, but man, politics has completely dominated us the last couple of days just trying to count votes.
Pretty much. And they're talking about in Nevada. Now they may not be done counting until November 12th because of a referendum in their policy.
Well, it's going to take them a while, and either way it goes, even if Joe Biden wins, Trump will be sitting in that seat till January, so we just got to go on and get it figured out. But in the meantime, here in Florida, we've had the highest number of COVID cases in a day since, August, September? Over 6,000 a day.
Yeah, we got to get this thing under control, man. Otherwise, the economy that everybody wants to talk about, or some people want to talk about, is not going to get fixed. I don't know how you improve the economy if everybody can't go to work.
And see, and that takes us to part of what our issue has been, even with sports. Again, dealing with COVID-19 and people trying to act and find different ways to participate. Big Ten came back, and how many weeks did it take them before they ended up having to forfeit or cancel some games?
Oh man, a week.
1 week.
Yeah.
1 week. You know, the only people who really had that thing kind of figured out, which everybody would hate to do, and that's the NBA in the bubble.
Yeah. They hit on something there, Coach. That bubble worked out great, didn't it?
Didn't it? It worked out for us, at least in terms of being able to see some basketball, but it really does take some adjusting if you're there in person to see it and nobody be in an empty facility. But the way they have it wired up, you'd almost think there were fans in there. They had it wired for sound and everything.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, the way they were able to do it. And you got to tip your hat to those players for making the adjustments they made without their families as well.
I think LeBron said they were in the bubble 93 days. Something like that. That's rough. You know, a lot of stories came out, people trying to slide people up in there. That didn't work too good.
I think that had to be pretty much expected.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, Stephen A. Smith and ESPN, our brother really talked about that before it even happened.
Yeah, he did.
But lately in high school, we haven't had to forfeit any games here or cancel any lately, have we? Maybe a couple weeks.
Not as of late. In particular, Leon County, I think has been pretty lucky, I guess you could say. But in the same sense, if you're following the mandates that we have and wearing your mask and things like that, I think there has to be a correlation that we haven't seen very many cases in our schools, at least, because of that. So I think everybody's trying to do the right thing, and these teams are trying to do the right thing when we talk about sports. And so we have to tip our hats to those coaches and players as well for being responsible enough to try to continue to play.
Do you think that we've actually been getting the accurate figures with the schools, or do you think that it hadn't all been legit?
Well, you see the smile on my face. I don't know, Coach. It's kind of hard to really know in particular, but you know, this thing is striking people all over at such a high rate that hey, maybe some folks are not as transparent as they should be, which I think is a mistake at this point. If that is the case, then I think we're making a grave mistake in not being transparent. So we definitely need to do that if that is the case.
Well, did we not have a instance where we just had a college student that died in the dorm room with COVID-19?
Wow, I'm not aware.
Yeah, just yesterday or the day before that happened.
Oh, good.
Died in their dorm room with COVID-19. But let's move a little bit to Leon County and maybe the Big Bend, you know, because all of what we do isn't centered around Leon County, even though they're the thrust of a lot of it. I mean, and even Leon County, as we talked about in our first show last week, Leon County schools had one set of rules for their teams, and the independent programs had another set. Now, you like to kind of remind the people of what the difference in the two was?
Yeah, well, Leon County Schools decided that they would only play in the city. There would be no travel among teams, and I think that was a really good idea because there's a better opportunity for tracing and things of that nature if you're staying within the city. Our independent schools were playing out of town and whomever they chose to do so. And these schools obviously made these decisions with the best interest in mind that they felt of their programs as well as their students and student athletes. You know, of course, early on, we did have quite a few cases and spikes where we all had to adjust to this new normal, so to speak. But I think Leon County Schools did a really wise idea in staying in the county.
Okay. One of the things I want to cover is last week's games. You know, just some of them. Godby, I think you might have had a special interest in the Godby game.
We had a special interest, and unfortunately, you know, my son, his season ended last week. He was injured, but nevertheless, the team did pull out a victory. I guess in explosive fashion in the second half versus FAMU DRS, and ended up scoring 50 points after the score was tied at 20 apiece. Many would say that should have happened from the very start, but those kids from FAMU DRS came to play, and they really did a good job, Coach. We have to give them kudos on that.
Yeah, it was a good halftime score. I understand final 56-20. DRS plays this Friday against North Florida Christian, and Godby plays this Friday against Lincoln. Lincoln was a big winner this past weekend, 33-6 over Childs. Childs' next game is Friday against Rickards.
Right. Hey, Coach, you know what's interesting about the playoffs? You know, this week the playoffs actually begin. And so the teams that had a first round bye, you know, our local teams, I think the majority of them are actually going to play each other. As you stated, Rickards versus Childs and Godby versus Lincoln. So the bye week that they would have actually had, they're going to play a game within the city. And so I thought that was pretty interesting because I thought there was another week in between games. But this is actually the bye week.
So this is actually the playoffs starting this weekend?
Yeah, they actually start Friday.
Okay, that takes a different angle on everything because Gaston County goes over to Pensacola Catholic.
Okay.
You know, and it's a little rough to go over there in Pensacola and play in any sport, especially at Pensacola Catholic.
It is. I would have to agree with that. I've had to face the Crusaders a couple times when we were at Rickards, and we came out on top a couple times, but that's a very, very tough environment to play in.
In football, when you play at Pensacola and it's the district like this, do you go over the night before the game or do you leave that day and go?
No, we leave that day.
Okay.
We leave that day. Plus, remember, you gain an hour. The tough part about playing over in Pensacola is actually losing the hour because that puts you home an hour later. So you're talking about 3-4 o'clock in the morning before you get home.
Well, that wouldn't be that bad if you get back and it's a Friday game because you get back on Saturday. But if you leave going over, what time would you typically leave going to Pensacola for a 7 o'clock game?
You probably leave about 2 o'clock.
About 2 o'clock, so 1 o'clock their time, and you feed them. Give us an idea of how that itinerary runs.
We typically stopped over in I think we stopped in Crestview, and we would feed the team there in Crestview. and then finish the ride on over to Pensacola. You usually would get there about 6 p.m. Their time.
An hour before game time?
Well, remember that their game time is 8 o'clock our time. So, or should I say 6 p.m. our time?
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, you said you get there at 6 o'clock their time, and then say the game is 8 o'clock our time. You get ready to be one of those parents get there late.
Hey, so 6 p.m. our time, and you tee it off, man, and you find out what happens.
The kids typically sleep all the way.
Yeah, that's what typically kids do. And Rickards is gonna they'll go to Jacksonville first for Ed White, but if they win, I think their next game might be against West Florida, who's been a pretty good rivalry for Rickards.
Okay, so now Rickards plays Charles Friday.
Yeah, they'll play Charles, and then what would be the second round opponent would be I believe Ed White.
Okay. Okay, so they would go on the road to Jacksonville. Yeah,
so it's shaping up. The playoffs are shaping up. I mean, to get through a season thus far has been pretty good for everybody. I know Coach Lewis said you're always on pins and needles because you don't know until about 5 minutes before the game whether you're going to play or not.
Mm-hmm. And why is that? Because of your own players or because of what may be going on with the visiting team?
Yeah, both, really. These guys can get sick at any time. So
how are you notified that you have a COVID-19 positive test with your kids?
That come down. Typically what happens is the parents would let the coaches know because we don't do any testing. So coaches and administration don't really have an idea. They're dependent on the parents to let them know if their kids are, well or not. And so that's what they're relying on at this point.
So at the end of the day, a lot of the parents would be just as, I won't say a lot, but I'm sure you probably have some parents who might not say anything.
That's true. And often because they want to play.
Quarterback got a keeper. He is hit by number 50 and 42 for the Lions.
Without infecting their teammates or the other team.
Okay. Well, we're gonna keep it short again as we're trying to do now, and I'm gonna get you Coach to go back over for your second top five, INSiiGHTS top five. Let's see who you got as number 5 this week.
Number 5. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm probably gonna put the Godby Cougars in at number 5 again. But I'm gonna make a change. Because at number 4, I'm gonna go with North Florida Christian.
Okay.
They've been on a pretty good roll here lately. And so they're number 3. I'm gonna go back with Gadsden County. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Coach. At number 3, I'm gonna go with Lincoln.
Okay.
And at number 2, I'm going with Rickards.
Okay.
All right. And then at number 1, we're gonna keep that at Florida High.
Okay. Okay.
So, Godby at 5, North Florida Christian at 4, number 3 Lincoln, number 2 Rickards, and number 1 Florida High. So my top 3 did not change.
And your top 3 again?
Yeah. Top 3 Lincoln at number 3, Rickards at number 2, and Florida High at number 1.
Man, we about as different as fried chicken and rotisserie chicken.
Well, you like that South Georgia flavor too.
See, I like I got number 5. I got 4-1 Lincoln at number 5.
Okay.
Then I got Rickards at 3-1. I got them at number 4. At 3, I got 3-1 Gadsden County.
Okay.
At number 2, I got 6-1 Brooks County.
Right.
At number 1, unanimous, second week in a row, the undefeated Florida High.
Right. So I don't think your top 3 changed from last week either, did it?
It did not. It did not.
Yeah.
It did not. Honorable mention, I probably have Madison and Godby in my honorable mention.
Well, Madison been struggling a little bit now.
Yeah, they're struggling. They're a lot. They're 7-2. They're struggling really bad.
Wow, they played 9 games?
They played 9 games.
Wow.
7-2.
Yeah, I know they lost last week to Florida Palm Coast in a tough matchup.
And Florida Palm Coast is a little bit larger than them. And see, I like
I'm sorry, Flagler Palm Coast. I said Florida. Flagler.
One thing I like about Madison, they play everybody. Coach Cole plays everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
And he gets ready for the state playoff. Nobody wants any parts of him.
Right.
You know, so it's gonna be interesting. John Paul, they went honorable mention earlier, but they lost again against some more big boys. And a lot of the smaller schools really didn't have a lot of choice in terms of trying to get a schedule together. They just pretty much had to get anybody who would play them.
Hey, Coach, I'm gonna tell you who else we need to look out for now. That probably, if we had a top 10, Robert F. Monroe would definitely be in there.
Okay, well, we ain't go to top 10, did we?
Yeah.
We got the top 20.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you though, that's not the same Robert F. Monroe that we're used to.
And they will continue to upgrade their athletic program over there.
Yes, they are. They will
be a program to reckon with.
Yeah, they're coming. They're coming. Building that new facility that they got coming up. They are gonna be formidable.
Exactly. Well, Coach, I appreciate you with me. That's Mickey and Earl. We're gonna see you again next week and try to keep you updated with what's going on. And Earl, you the Pearl, Hankerson. You want to do your sign off, brother?
Hey man, I want everybody to stay safe out there. Remember, we're still in a pandemic. Everybody, wear your mask, please. Please be helpful to yourself and to your fellow man. Wear your mask and just be safe out there. Take care.
From INSiiGHTS. Visit our website at INSiiGHTS.com. 2 I's in the middle. INSiiGHTS.
INSiiGHTS is the copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. Comments of the host and other individual speakers on INSiiGHTS represent their independent thoughts and representation.